All right, let's get started. Let's start out with some positive focus. If you are joining us today for the first time, we are going to start off with some production wins. So in the last, 7 days or so, what are some production wins? Maybe it's you finally got a listing under contract that you've had for a while. Maybe it's you've got a buyer to buy, even though they were worried about rate. But they understood the urgency. Whatever that might be, go ahead and drop it in the chat or raise your hand and I will bring you up on screen, which would be amazing, and have you read it out loud. Also, if you're able, put your cameras on. I was on a Zoom meeting last Friday, and the coach that was running it said something that, we all know, but I thought it was really great. And they're like, hey, you're coming to a Zoom meeting, so get on camera, right? Like the more interactive Zoom meetings are, the better. This is our touch base. This is how we are interacting with each other when we can't all be in the same room. So get your cameras on if you're able. That's part of being in a Zoom meeting. And then second, be respectful and make sure you're muted, okay? And some of you, if you're on your phone, sometimes when you speak, it will unmute you if you're on Zoom audio. So make sure you're muted. He also told this story, and I thought this was interesting, where he said that they had started a Zoom meeting and this guy was off camera and he thought his audio was muted and it wasn't. And he started up the meeting and, he's talking, he doesn't realize. And he said, yeah, I'm on one of those boring Zoom meetings. So, of course, the guy that's running it's like, you're unmuted. So just be careful. You never know what you're going to say and you're accidentally unmuted. So we want to have a great call today. I'm going to start reading some of these wins for the production mastermind, but I invite all of you to do those things, right? Stay muted unless you're going to speak. And then secondly, get on camera. We want to make it interactive. So one of Joe's wins is joined an accountability group, which is amazing. Groups are so great to have someone share with you, your goals and hold you accountable to it and kind of call you out when maybe you're not calling yourself out. So that's awesome, Joe. And I happen to know the accountability group and I think it's amazing. Second, Jerry said 2 listings sold and 2 listings taken in 1 month. Nice job, Jerry. Do you want to unmute and tell us where those leads came from?
Sure. Well, one is an investor. I'm an investor's agent. So one investor can give you back-to-back deals. And I also got a listing from church. I get a lot of business from church and from high school.
Awesome. That's really good. So, whether you guys have an investment group or a church that you're getting leads from, he is using his networking abilities to create those opportunities for himself. So he's like, I help a lot of investors. So he's got a niche. And he's obviously doing a good job communicating he's an agent because he's getting deals from his other groups. So thanks for sharing that, Jerry, because sometimes I think we forget the places that we are at or people we are interacting with that, without just directly coming out and saying it, God bless you. And do you have a referral for me? No, you're just making connections with people and then they know you're an agent. And, in turn, that ends up coming back because you become the trusted source. So really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great job, Jerry. Richie said, difficult buyer under contract and 1 new listing from a 2-year follow-up. Really good job. So Richie, unmute quick and tell us about how did you stay in touch with someone for 2 years and get them to the table?
Yeah, which is great the better thing is I cold called his mom. So I've been staying in touch with his mom for 3 years now. Finally went on the listing appointment. She brought son, who's this guy, a year. So that's the year after a follow-up with her. So I met him through the listing appointment with her grandma. She's ready to go, but not yet. He's ready. So luckily, it's pretty scary conversation as I was walking in my office and I looked down, another agent had the same address printed up for a listing presentation. And I'm like, that address looks very familiar. So I just went back to my office and my dialer and it was him. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I've been calling this guy for 2 years. He said he was going to hit me up. So I just stayed in touch by phone calls when he told me to, handwritten note cards, and mailers, a monthly emailer. So that's kind of the follow-up touch there, and got him in. And I called him. He said, oh, no, you're my guy. I was going to call you. And we are going to talk to some other agents. And I went on in there and locked it in right on the spot. His wife loved me, and they didn't even interview any other agents. So that was awesome.
Nice work. The dreaded copier, you know.
I know, that's why agents got to be smart. Yeah, and I think she was lazy. She made the front desk lady who's getting paid, you know, not the most money, print the stuff out and get it ready for me. I'm on my way. And she never came, and she printed out and left it. And, you know, there you go.
Yep, exactly. You never know what you're going to find on that office copier. Why I have my own. Okay. Yes, well, the stocks are looking amazing. Love it. Stacy, 2 closings last week and 1 this week. Great job. Love it. Yeah, buy or die. Exactly. Really good. Okay, any other production wins before we get started? Anybody else got one? You can raise your hand or unmute yourself, and we'll get to you real quick here before we get started. You're just waiting. You're just like, no, get to the presentation. We can't wait. We're dying. Okay, perfect. We'll get started here. Today, we are going to talk about ideas to execution. So when you are setting your goals, either in the beginning of the year or now, we're a little over that halfway point in the year, right? How many of you kind of woke up today and you're like, oh my gosh, it's August 1. Like, I have a lot of things to accomplish and I'm not on track. Raise your hand. Just be honest. It's okay. Yeah, me too. I was like, oh crap, I forgot. Like, I was going to do this, or I was going to do that, or maybe now something doesn't seem as important because what I did was I let other things kind of get in the way. Maybe I didn't trust the goals I had originally set, or maybe they were too aspirational. I went from, you know, a baseline of, oh, I sold 50 homes last year, and now this year I'm going to sell 200, but there was like no direct plan on how to do that, right? So maybe some of you are feeling that same way, and I appreciate those that raised their hand, because I think all of us in some shape or form have that happen to us, either at different times or maybe with just different goals. So maybe your business goals are locked solid, you're fine, you don't worry about them, but maybe your personal goals kind of get shoved to the side, or you take a look and it's August 1 and you're like, oh yeah, I was going to work out 200 times this year and I've only worked out twice. So literally that's going to be very hard to do by December 31st. So if this is you at any point in your journey, this is the call for you. Now, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is not going to be new things. It's not going to be mind-blowing, but I promise you that you will get some nuggets that you'll be able to take actionable action to do on. You'll be able to take them and implement them and put them into your business. So I encourage you to actively listen, meaning shut off everything else that you're doing, talking to, looking at, picking up your phone. Some of you, remember, you're on Zoom. I can see if you're talking to other people. Like, you made the time to be here. Let's do this, because this is how you're going to accomplish your goals. If you've got other screens on, if your brain is running 100 tabs right now, shut them down and we will do this together. Okay. Let me share my screen and we will get started. Hold on, I shut down my slide. Not good. There we go. Okay. Can you see my slide that says ideas to execution? Richie, can you see it?
No, we see the audience window.
Yeah, see audio window. Maybe behind it, maybe once you get rid of that audio window. There we go.
Now? All right, got it. Okay. Was that the voice of God or was it Lars?
It was Lars.
Hello, Lars. Welcome to the call. All right. So we're going to talk about, like I mentioned, getting organized so you can crush your goals. And here is the things that we're going to cover today. We're going to cover 6 points, and I'm going to give you a tool at the end. Now, before I give you the tool at the end, some of you may not use this technology, and that is okay. You can do the same thing in a spreadsheet. So before you, and it's a free tool, so it's nothing that's going to cost you money, but don't get caught up in the tool. We want to get caught up in the concepts so that you can take these complex ideas and make them simplified. So we are going to cover, number 1, what matters most when it comes to getting organized with your goals. Number 2, dumping the ideas. Number 3, there are only 2 business goals that you need. Only 2 annually, 2, just 1, 2. Next, we're going to cover 13 weeks to execution. Number 5, we're going to talk about project blocks. And then lastly, we're going to talk about leading to leverage. Now, one thing I'm not covering about goals is the why. So the why behind your goals, like understanding what you truly want so that you can achieve it. We don't have time for that. That is literally something you need to discover. So if you're committing to something because someone else told you to do it, or maybe you're a people pleaser, or do you commit to goals because you actually want to achieve that? That's what you have to understand in order for any of this to work. Because if you're a people pleaser like me, sometimes I'll commit to something that someone else is doing or someone else told me to do, or I thought they told me to do it, then I'm not going to have the ability to execute at a high level because it isn't internally meaningful to me, right? It was something that I just thought I should do. And that's when some of you, when you're wondering, like, how do I get motivation? Like, how do I stay motivated? You can't stay motivated all the time. You can come to these calls and get re-motivated. You can attend a, workshop, all of those things. But motivation is only going to happen when you're consistently doing the things that you know you need to do. Not what someone else told you to do, but what you've committed to doing. So we're not going to cover that piece in detail. There are plenty of books and YouTubes and everything else about finding your why. So we're just going to pretend you kind of got that, or at least enough where your goals are set. And we're going to go from that point on. So let's talk organization. So by raise of hands again, how many of you set goals at the beginning of the year and then became overwhelmed, like pretty quickly? Yeah, most of us, right? Maybe you weren't sure if your plan would get you to the outcome that you want. Maybe you weren't sure what activities you needed to do, right? Overwhelm is simply this. It's the state of too many ideas and no priority. So you don't know what actually is urgent and what matters and then what doesn't. So there's no actionable plan. So now you're kind of in that fight or flight mode because you're telling yourself that what you have come up with must not be right. It must not be the way to achieve your goals. And then on the other hand, self-doubt, that starts to creep in. And self-doubt comes from not staying committed to what you say you will do and accepting excuses from yourself as to why you didn't take action. So now you're telling your brain, I can't be trusted. I can't make decisions because I've got to gather more information. I'm just not motivated to do this. I'm feeling so overwhelmed. So there are some ways to get organized. You don't have to live in this state of overwhelm and self-doubt, because that will lead to analysis paralysis. If you guys get Success Magazine, if you subscribe to it, get it in the mail. If you don't, you should. But this whole magazine, it's bi-monthly, so it comes every other month, is all about goals, execution, ideas, overwhelm. So it was like perfect. I was reading it last night. I'm like, yes, I'm talking about this tomorrow. This is like amazing. So definitely, if you do get it, make sure you take time to read it because it's a really great one this time. Okay, so the key indicator so that you aren't living in overwhelm and self-doubt is figuring out what matters most. So we often find ourselves overwhelmed by a flurry of tasks. Maybe we look or we act busy, but we're really moving nowhere. So organization helps us say no to the things that keeps us busy and yes to the things that move us forward. There's a great book by Lisa TerKeurst, and it's called The Best Yes. And it's really about if something is not a yes, it's a hell no. Excuse my language. But she's like, it either is yes, and it's the best yes that you can make, because there are multiple things you can say yes to or multiple ways you say yes, but you are trying to get to the best yes for you and your goals. Otherwise, it's a no. So in order to do that, you have to set clear priorities and discover what truly matters so you can allocate time and energy there. So let's imagine this, and maybe you can look around and see this for yourself. But imagine you have a cluttered workspace. You've got piles of paperwork, you've got unanswered emails, you've got, you're one of those people that have like the text message and it says like 3,248 and it looks like they're all unread, right? These are constant distractions. And even though you may not be clicking on them, your brain is still seeing them, reading them. Your mind knows that all of these things still need to be done. So it makes it challenging to focus on what is actually critical and what's going to drive your business forward. So you need to declutter. You've got to organize your workspace. The easiest thing to do is if you're one of those that have like the, bazillion numbers on top of all your apps and emails, take the notifications off. Just shut them off. You don't need the running total. If you're over 100, you don't need a running total anymore, right? You'll get to it when you get to it. Another thing that helps you identify time-wasting activities so that you can focus on what matters is a time assessment. We talk about it a lot as a time study. That's a great way to get started. No one loves a time study because it's like a toddler following you around, constantly saying, hey, don't forget about me. And are you really going to do that? Is that what you just did the last 15 minutes? So it's not fun, but what it does is it helps you identify where your core time needs to be spent. So in order to do a time study, what you do is you write down your activities every 15 minutes for 2 weeks straight. So you carry this little piece of paper with all the different days, 15-minute increments. And what happens is the first few days, you're going to spend your time way more wisely than normal because you're not going to want to write down you scrolled on Facebook 10 times that day. So you're going to start to make better decisions that day. Then day 4, you're going to forget to fill it out. Day 5 in the morning, you're going to go, oh crap, I forgot. And then you'll start to do half the day. So it's not perfect, right? But what it does is identify those creeping time wasters that we're all spending our time in. And the best thing to do is to send it to an accountability buddy who also has done it, and you guys analyze each other's time. You'll start to see holes you didn't realize. And it's really great if you have a team to have everybody do it at the same time. Now, if you do that, make sure you preface it that it's not to tear anybody apart. And it's also not to sort of point out whether they're, ultimately productive a full 8 hours or not. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for patterns. Where in the afternoon are you wasting your most time? And are you waiting to do critical activities until then, right? Or do you find that you get the most done from like 9 to 11? You got to make sure your most important activities are there, right? And then you have to have self-time too, right? Like self-care. So with a time study, make sure you know that it's not to place guilt on yourself or others. It's actually just to help you identify those time wasters. So number two, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you do better when you can visually see things when you're putting something together? So like maybe it's a picture of something, or maybe you saw somebody accomplish it, right? Okay, so let's go back for a moment. How many of you, maybe you still do, but played with Legos? Like you were like Legos, you liked the Legos, you liked building stuff. Yeah. And I have to say, I kind of still do. My son's now 16. And so, he's not into Legos anymore, darn it. But I still really like them. So anyway, so if you think about Legos, do you like the page by page guides, right? Like you open up that box, they come in the little bags, they're all separated out, they're numbered, and then you get this like colored brochure, and it's like amazing because you can read, oh, this little Lego has 4 things on top. Oh, that has 9. Okay, I need that longer one, right? Those are amazing. Otherwise, your Lego city is going to look like Duplo, right? And those Duplos, those aren't very pretty. They're like those weird, tall things. So if you like that kind of guide, why not do the same for your business, right? Why not have a detailed step-by-step guide on what you're trying to accomplish? And maybe it needs pictures so you can confidently and efficiently complete the task. So when you're thinking about your real estate goal and you break them down into steps like that, wouldn't it be so easy? You're like, yeah, mail me a Lego city of real estate goals. I'll totally crush it, right? So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to take all of that out of our head and put it into a detailed step-by-step Lego guide. There's 2 ways we can do this. These are the 2 easiest I've found. The first one is called morning pages. Morning pages is you get up, you grab a notebook or journal, nothing fancy, and you just dump everything that's coming out of your mind. This will include goals. This will include, shoot, I need to go grab my coffee. Oh my gosh, I got to email that guy. It's going to look like ADHD on steroids. It is like going to have all these different things, and it's okay. You just dump and write. Then what you're able to do is circle the goals that you wanted to accomplish, or it's part of your things to accomplish to get you closer to your goal. It just cuts the noise. So sometimes morning pages is easier for people because they can just write and get it out of their head. My favorite is mind mapping. So mind mapping gives you a representation of ideas. You can kind of connect the dots and spot new opportunities. This would be like, mind mapping is like if you walk into Target and you look at the Lego aisle and there's all these different kinds of Legos from the easiest to the complex, right? So you're taking all your ideas and you're mapping them out first to decide what you want. And then you're bringing it down to smaller actionable items. I'm going to show you actually two of the most famous mind maps. The first one is from 1943, Walt Disney. This is Walt, one of his first mind maps on record. And I know it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see in the middle, he's giving himself direction. Like, this is what I want to accomplish. I want to accomplish animation control. I want to accomplish music route. Like, I want to have my own music. I want to have complete motion pictures. And then on the outside, he separated it into production and management, right? So he's got all these ideas. Now, everything isn't how he's going to accomplish it, but he basically did a visual mind dump, right? This is how I foresee my business going. This is mind mapping. This is the next one he created in 1957. This is probably a little bit closer to how I mind map. There's one thing in the middle, and then there's these offshoots. And of course, because it's Walt Disney, you see the cute little Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and, None of mine look like that. But as you can see, he created the initial idea for his business and then offshoot from there. So this is like the easiest way to take all those complex ideas. You know, like if you're on this production mastermind every week, you are learning so many things that will 100% help you in business, but you can't do all of them, right? So this allows you to either dump all those ideas on a mind map and you'll start to see what can work or what can't, or it gives you just a running list of everything. And then when it's time, when you're kind of setting new goals, you can pull them from these mind maps. There's lots of software that'll do mind maps too, but I literally use a big like sticky note easel pad and my markers and I color away. So does anybody on here drop a 1 in the chat if you use mind mapping? Oh, Jerry does great. Jamie, yes. Sohail, Charles, Kurt doesn't, but you're going to now, aren't you? I'm just kidding. Jerry, Kimberly, Todd, awesome. Really, really good. Yeah, I love it. I think it's just such an easy way. Again, you're creating this Lego brochure, right? But it's the one that's like all the things you could buy. It's like the Christmas list of mind mapping, right? Okay. Now, once you've mind mapped, you've kind of got the bigger idea of everything. Okay. So now, how does that actually equate to my goals? You can individually mind map each goal, which I actually do often. But I'm just going to take it from big concepts and break it down to small. So think of a laser beam versus like a scattered flashlight. A laser beam can cut through steel because it's focused intensity, right? While a scattered flashlight, the one where you're like banging on the side because the batteries never work, they barely illuminate anything. So when you hone in on something like mind mapping, morning pages, or your 2 most important business goals, you can concentrate your efforts and achieve really great results. So the 2 business goals that you need, this is it. Everything has to account toward these 2 goals. The first one is a critical number. The second one is your revenue target. So your critical number is your key performance indicator that shows you're reaching that goal, your goal. And then the revenue target is self-explanatory, right? It's the financial. These are not outward facing goals. You're not like wearing a t-shirt. You're not taping it up on the wall like, woohoo, that's 2 million. No, you're not doing that stuff. This is the goal that acts as your filter for everything has to go through to make sure that we are on track. We are choosing the right goal. So does this idea or thought or action actually get me to my critical number or revenue target? So for example, let's do a critical number. We're going to use just home sale. Okay. So let's say your critical number is 50 home sales and your revenue target is, 500, we'll call it 500,000 GCI. And then you should break it down to a net. So let's just say it's 400,000. We'll give you a high net there, 400,000 for your revenue target and you're selling 50 homes. That's your critical number, right? Those are 2 easy ones. Now, every goal that you set either aligns with the critical number or it aligns with the revenue target, right? Simple as that. Now you have an idea of where you need to go for the rest of your goals to make sure that you are on target for those 2 things, okay? So let's break that down, what that could look like. So we have 13 weeks to execute every quarter. So when you break your goals down into quarterly targets, then into monthly, then into weekly to-dos, that's how you really gain traction. So quarterly, this is the big goal for the quarter that must be accomplished. Now, these could be the individual systems or tools or projects, whatever you want to call it, but it has to directly link to the critical number or the revenue target. So let's use an example. Let's say that you are going to, start blogging on your CRM, right? We talked about that a little bit last week. So let's use this as an example, and you're going to up your social game. So let's say your quarterly target is blogging on my website, and you've got specific measurable goals around that. Like, I want to put out 2 blog posts a week that add value to my clients and prospects so they know that I'm the expert, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Okay. That's my quarterly goal. That is going to directly link to my key performance indicator, which is my critical number, because that is going to help me sell 50 homes a year, right? So that's how they attach. Now, monthly, I have to figure out what are the milestones this month of this quarter that I have to achieve so that I will hit my quarterly target of the 2 blog posts a month, right? So that might include my monthly target is watch the AI training from last week. Secondly, my big milestone, and these aren't in order, but determine what my platform for my blog is going to be. Is it my CRM? Is it my KV core? Is it, am I using something else like a WordPress site? What is it, right? And then what are my other monthly targets? You will probably have 3 to 5 monthly targets, okay? Then you're going to break that down weekly, which is now pretty easy because we're going to do a little bit of simple math. So let's say each project in a quarter takes 20 to 30 hours, okay? For initial implementation, we've got our tweaking, we've got our testing, we've got our tracking. It's gonna take us about 20 to 30 hours for the quarter. That's gonna boil down into 2 hours a week per project. So when you think of this, now when you're thinking about your goals, and if you have set some quarterly goals and you have 8 quarterly targets, and you are one person with one VA that works, 3 hours a day, are you going to accomplish 8 quarterly goals? I mean, not unless you're doing nothing else, like you're not selling homes and you're not, doing direct income producing activities, you're just sitting at your computer all day, like systematizing. So you got to think of that when you're setting those quarterly goals. If you know each project is going to take that 20 to 30 hours, which actually equals 2 hours a week, and you only have one time block every 3 weeks for 30 minutes to work on your project, it's not going to happen. So it's just simple math. And now that you know that, it makes it so much easier to pick those goals, targets, and to-dos. With your monthly milestone, you can use that mind mapping in order to break that down. So if you're unsure what your milestones would be, just think, if someone asked you, how do I achieve blogging? How do I achieve, 20% open rate from an email I sent from blogging? And you had to say to that person, well, you have to do this, 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 this. And you're not getting into all the tactical. Those are the milestones that you're picking for the month. So what 5 things have to be true in order for me to accomplish my quarterly goal this month? So you're going to do that for all 3 months of the quarter, and they need to be measurable and specific. So I'm going to slow down for 1 second. Does everybody kind of understand the 2 business goals that you need, then how the quarterly project attached to those, and then how to break it down into monthly, and then weekly obviously is what do I need to do to create my month win? Any questions on that so far? We're good? All right, awesome, good job. Okay, project block. So you're like, okay, Stacy, this sounds really great. It sounds, you're making it sound so easy, but there's also this thing of, I put in my block but I don't know what to do when I actually get there. So I've figured out what I need to do for the quarter, and I've broken it down into monthly. But then I get to these project blocks and I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I even start? Like, I almost have to go back and see what I've accomplished. I forgot. I don't know what I left off. I'm not sure which project to start on. This one is really simple, and it's just called, you can name it whatever you want to. I name it project block. I name it project block. Okay, get ready for this. Get your pen ready. Project block number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, so I generally have 1 to 3 projects for my quarter. And I know that when in my calendar, when it says project block number 1, I know exactly what project that is. And I'm going to show you in a minute here the tool that I use to keep it all organized. But this allows me to make sure that I'm spending the time I need to on each project, because sometimes, right, one of your goals is like a lot more fun than the other. And so you kind of get toward the end of the quarter and you're like, oh, shoot, I totally forgot. I didn't, it's fine. Nobody even knew I was working on it anyway, right? So that's where you have to make sure that you only have the 2 hours per week per project. So you've got to be very organized. You don't have time to kind of figure out where you've left off. You've got to make sure that you're tracking it well. So you can use your calendar this way, or you can use the tool I'm going to show you in a minute, or a spreadsheet, either way. But these project blocks, just simply naming them 1, 2, 3, or the name of the actual project will help you, okay? And then you're making sure you're not leaving one behind. And then lastly, we're talking about leading to leverage. So in order for you to lead others to help you, this could be a VA, this could even be honestly making sure you're achieving these goals yourself. You have to have a cadence of consistency and accountability, either for yourself or others. So there has to be a way to track. You can see if your progress is behind or if you're actually on track. So again, I'm going to show you right now how I use Trello and a board, and I'm going to give you the board. And again, you can use the spreadsheet, but this is how I use my projects and the VAs that help me to help me achieve what I'm looking to do. And it starts with this cadence of consistency where every week we're getting an update. How are things going? This is what I need you to do. This is what you need to do. Give me an update. Where are we? We break it all down so everybody is rowing in the same direction. Because if you've ever led people and you felt like you weren't getting the traction that you wanted, this could help you do that, because it's one way to keep everything in one spot. And like I said, you're able to see then what you're achieving and what's falling behind. All right, so let's jump into Trello here. Okay, so this is actually my live board. I'm going to give you a board that isn't full of all my stuff, but I wanted to show you this because it's not perfect and it's always a work in progress. So I think it's important to show you what's working well and then some things where it didn't work well, so that you can see that even when you're running a system, there's always going to be times when you have to tweak something. When people give you a to Z system, they've tweaked some things, right? But you may fall into the same traps they did because they didn't explain to you sort of some of the pitfalls or maybe some things that didn't work well so you can avoid those. So I'm going to go over that. So this project, this specific board has been in place since June 1. So we were a little off on our quarterly. So if you're like, your years and your quarters don't make sense, ignore my dates. This is when we started. So first of all, in your board, you will see a template card. This template card is what you can use for your quarterly project. And it says what you're looking to accomplish, right? How that looks, why you're doing it. And then you can actually attach the different cards to it so you can see what they actually connect with. So remember I said that every quarterly goal has to connect to either a critical number or a revenue target. So it's connecting to that here. Again, that's nothing necessarily important. It's just something fun Trello does. Then you break down your milestones on this card and then your metrics. How are we actually going to measure this? How do we know if we're on track or not? So that's the template card that you're going to see. You'll be able to make a copy of that for each one of these in this 90-day target column here. Okay. Let's start with the most important piece of this is the weekly meeting agenda. So every single week, I meet with my team, which just happens to be 2 VAs, and the VAs and I talk through this board, okay? And this board can look super confusing, but once you understand what these lists are, then it makes it so much easier to understand. So I'm gonna flow through it really quick. Your weekly meeting agenda has to sit here, especially if you are a visionary or a creative type. Even if this is you yourself and you have no one else to help you with this, you need to have a weekly meeting with yourself to understand if your goals are being achieved or not. Positive focus, right? How do we start off every single meeting that we do every Tuesday with you guys, the Production Mastermind? Positive focus. And why is that? Because you have to understand what you're grateful for, what's going well, right? What do we tend to think about all the time? Like all the things that aren't happening great or, you know, things that aren't going well. Next, if you have a team, do a shout out. It's so important to give them positive feedback. Again, even though maybe everything isn't perfect, it might be something like, here's one I gave yesterday. I said, I want to give a shout out to Mateus, who is actually creating ideas for me on social, even though he doesn't know my voice or everything I could talk about or coach on and my expertise. He's trying. I think you're doing a great job, Mateus, right? What immediately happened? Mateus is like, smiley face, right? It doesn't mean that we can't have hard conversations in this meeting or necessary conversations, but it's important to point out the good. People around you want to know they're winning. They want to know they matter to you. It's no longer an excuse to say, oh, I keep my head down. I just achieve things. That's not acceptable when you are a leader. You have to shout out. Next, each person gives a summary of their 30-day targets. Everybody owns a project. Now, again, if it's you, you're the owner. So you have to kind of give yourself a little summary of this, right? What was my actual project? What am I trying to accomplish, right? And how am I going to do that? Then at the end, we recap the weekly commitments to make sure that everybody's on the same page. What actually needs to be done? And then we rate the meeting, 1 to 10. So everyone gives their feedback, how'd it go? Okay, 1-year objectives. Again, ignore the dates. You have to have the 2 business goals, critical numbers and revenue targets. These are specific to you. Your critical numbers, when you open up the card, is going to say what they are and why for you, okay? Next, revenue target. Same thing, pretty straightforward, right? What they are and why. I like to put my totals here so I can see it at a glance really, really quickly. And I know it.
Sorry to cut you. Yep. Can you just help us go over your critical numbers? That'll help me a little bit understand a little bit more here. Just not really deep, but like what is the 1275?
Yep. So they're each laid out here in the 1-year goals. So for me, these are my 1-year goals. So 1,200 is agents in my world. 75 is people that are direct to me, right? So this is absolutely specific to me, but this is exactly what those numbers mean. So you want them written down. These are your critical numbers. Now, you may have 1 critical number, you may have 2, right? These encompass a lot of different things. For me personally, it's okay to have 1 or 2, okay? revenue target, you have one big target. I break it down because again, I've got sort of that multiple facet of what's happening. So what do I want from sales? What is that? I just break it down so I know everything I need, you know, like monthly, per agent, gross margin. Again, don't get too caught up in mine, but I want to give you like a working, like let you see a working example. Does that make better sense, Richie? Okay, great. Okay, 90
Yes,
day
thank you.
target. Yeah, you're welcome. 90-day targets. Okay, so this is going to be your quarterly target. We'll use this one as an example. One of my targets is my YouTube channel with 31 videos posted and this many subscribers, okay? In here, we have the milestones broken down into months. So month 1, all of these things need to happen, okay? Month 2 and 3 are not done yet. How do I track this and know that I'm on track? These are the metrics that need to go on my scorecard. I have to track the videos posted, track the emails sent, track the subscribers, right? Then I'll know, am I on track or not, right? So that's what you want in each of your 90-day targets. Then remember those monthlies right here? You're going to put each of those then on a card so you can look at the current month. So right here, August, we just popped in new ones here. So this month, the overall goal for this month is an additional 500 subscribers, right? We have a Notion page that organizes things for this. And then here's each milestone broken down. Now, does this take a little bit of time to set up? You bet. But each week, it allows us to look at, are we on track? Are we on track already for the month? Are we on track then for the quarter? Are we going to hit our critical numbers because we stayed true to the goal? Then weekly, so yesterday we went through and did our weekly commitments to make sure we're hitting those monthly milestones, right? And so everybody put what they needed to do for the week in terms of the actual monthly goals. Your board could stop there. You have your weekly agenda, you have your 2 business goals, your quarter, your month, your week. Your board could stop there. One thing that I like to add to my board is we like to throw things in done. So once we've done something, we like to throw it over here. We just drag it over. But my favorite one is other projects because we get all these ideas, right? Oh my gosh, I need to do that. Oh, I heard them do that. That would be amazing. I need to add that to my business. These 90, 30, 90 and 30, these goals do not change. Once we've selected them for the quarter and the month, nothing else gets added to here. Nothing. If we have an idea, we put it in other projects and we'll look at it to choose it for next quarter. That is probably the most important thing I could tell you about achieving your goals. Once you've determined what they are, even if you're like unsure about it halfway through the month, you keep going on it because it's maybe that you got off track because you weren't taking action on it, but it's most likely because you just found a new squirrel, a new idea, and you wanted to let it in. And that's not the goal. So that's why this project list is humongous, right? And this one is doable. Pause is, this was a project that we had slated for the quarter and immediately took it off because we had too many projects. So this one's on pause. That's not going to happen. So that stuff kind of happens as well. So I will give you a link to that board. Oh, you got it? Oh, that's my YouTube. Oh, yes, I got to get my count up. Okay, I'll grab this Trello board. So you got, and you have like a cleaner one. What kind of questions do you have? What what did you get from this training? Like, what's something that you are excited to implement? Maybe what's an aha? You can type it or unmute.
You got to build it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have the imagination to build something like that, and you got to have the time to build it out to make it really work. I'm curious, what was your scorecard? You kept saying something about a scorecard, but I never saw a scorecard, unless maybe you did show it and I totally just went.
Yeah, no, I didn't show my scorecard because I don't want to overcomplicate everything for you at this point. But what it is it just a Google spreadsheet that says like each week in the quarter, and then it says, for instance, subscribers, and I add every single week what my count is, because that was one of the metrics I wanted to track. So whatever metrics you need to track to know that you're, maybe it's home sold. Okay. So let's go back to, I'm selling 50 houses a year. So weekly, I need to know how many new listings I took, how many went under contract, and how many closed. Yes. Is that probably in my CRM as well? Yes. But I like to see all my goals metrics, about 10 max. So the major ones in one little spreadsheet so I can see the numbers every week. So that's a scorecard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stacey, what other CRM are you using?
KV Core.
Okay.
Okay, let me look at the chat. I guess I did not. Yes, I know. I got to find my Trello board link. Hold on a second.
One person asked if that was the free version of Trello or the paid version.
Oh, good question. So you can create everything I showed you, the list, on the free version, where I linked my critical goal, where you saw the picture of the critical goal in the card. That could be a paid power up. So, but you don't have to pay to do that. I just have multiple boards. We have boards for Real Estate B-School. We have we use Trello. So I do pay for it, but you can use the free version first, get everything on your board, use it for 6 months to a year, then pay for it if you're realizing that things are not, you need some more functionality, because it will put things on your calendar. It'll do all of that. So there's lots of awesome training on Trello that you can get as well. Yes, I know the 2 goals, now it makes it so much simpler. Critical numbers, revenue target. Yes, annual, 90, 30, weekly. Very good. Yes, it does help make everybody more accountable for sure. Okay. 1 second. I got to grab this link from my intern. She cleared the board for me. Hey, Hannah, I can't get the link to can you get the link to the Trello board and text it to me really quick? Yeah. For some reason, it's not showing up in my Trello. Okay. If it doesn't show up for you guys, if I can't get the Trello link here in 1 minute, we will put it in the 2 normal places, which is Facebook and Real Estate B-School, if you are a member there. But I'm trying to get it here real fast. All right, what other questions do we have? We've got about 5 minutes left. Or anyone want to talk about some success they've had setting goals?
The Facebook group, I don't know if I'm a part of that. What's the name of it again?
The Facebook group is Game Changers Nation.
Okay.
You emailed it? Okay, great. All right, hold on 1 second. We'll have it for you guys. Okay, Lars, I'm going to send this to you really fast and make sure that you can open it before I drop it. And then everyone's like, I can't open it. Yep, I think so. Oh yeah.
Oh, it has it.
No?
It has me sending, or the board is private, send a request.
Oh, got it. Okay. Hannah, the board's private. Can you make it public?
Hannah.
Oh, wait, maybe I can. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Can join. Members, board members can view. Okay, try this one, Lars, real fast. Sorry, guys. I'm good at setting goals. I'm not good at sharing Trello boards.
Yep, looks like it worked. I hit the join board and we are in. And it says the template.
Never, you know.
Yeah, we should be good.
Okay, sweet. Okay, everybody, here you go. It was worth the wait, I promise. There's the board. If you are not a member of Trello, you can just get a free membership and or whatever, sign up for it for free. Oh yeah, look at you guys coming in. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. Okay, awesome. Is there any other questions you have before we let you go? Are you rocking and rolling? You're good to go. You are welcome. Thanks, guys, for your attention and attending today. I hope that you take this and do something with this. You only have a few action items. Number one, set your 2 business goals, critical number revenue target. Number 2, if you have not set some quarterly goals, or you have, make sure they attach to your 2 business goals, critical number revenue target. Break that quarter down into 3 to 5 milestones, and then set each goal weekly and set your 2-hour time blocks per project. That's it. So pretty simple. It's going to take a little bit of time. Once you keep doing this every quarter and you keep having your weekly meetings, it's like butter. It'll just so smooth. Amazing. All right, guys. Thank you for your time. We will see you next time. I appreciate it. Have a great day. We'll see you later.